Look, the obvious one is this helps Joe Biden, perhaps with the black vote. It also perhaps helps him on the law and order side. But interesting that he picked someone that landed a pretty good couple of blows on him in a verbal sense in the earlier stoushes for this nomination.
Yeah, well, I guess all's fair in love and war and politics as well. And I think that speaks to one quality that Biden was absolutely looking for from a running mate, and that is just campaign toughness. Kamala Harris has come a long way in her political career. I lived in Northern California. She was just getting started running for the district attorney in San Francisco County, and then going on to become Attorney General for the state of California. And then I was back in Australia by the time she was in the US Senate and running for president. But I think that is quality number one in the first instance. And number two, I think the recent picks, you look at the Mike Pence, you look at Sarah Palin, now you look at this nomination, it's really about shoring up enthusiasm in the party per se. And I think that was something Biden, had at the general election constituency, or shoring up enthusiasm among his base. And this pick, to me, looks like he's up the ladder of those two considerations.
It was interesting to hear Donald Trump's first attack line. I mean, you mentioned her toughness. He says she's nastier, well, his words, than Pocahontas, and Elizabeth Warren, of course. And it might go to the fact that he recognises her as a bit of a street fighter.
Yeah, I think that's right. And we'll see. It won't be the last. I mean, the attack lines will be interesting. I think the other thing they will go for is this tying her to a left agenda. I think that will have limited utility. I think, to tag someone in American politics based on the color of their skin versus, I think, her political record, if anything, the knock on Kamala Harris when she was Attorney General in San Francisco and California is that, if anything, she was too soft on going after police accused of unnecessary or over-the-top violence. And so that she's got that in her political past, if anything, sort of a good credential, I think, for minimizing sort of being run at, being soft on law and order. And I think that's an important aspect of this.
Could we end up seeing a lot of her? I mean, there's been plenty of talk around the Joe Biden stumbles, gaffes, call them what you will, and he's accused of not being out there a lot. Perhaps that's the best strategy some of the time with Donald Trump, but is it possible for her to take a really prominent position, or as the candidate for president, can he not let her hog the limelight, if you like?
It is delicate. Look, she's a tremendous asset for, like, as I was saying earlier, I think mobilizing the Democratic base, and particularly its younger elements. But the star of the show is the star of the show. This will be, as all presidential races are, ultimately a contest between the two aspirants for the top job. And that takes us back to, I think the next big set play, Tom, will be the debates. This pick is sort of the one everybody was expecting. The Democratic base really wanted it. It's been delivered to them. Trump is working up his attack lines, but the big next set play will be the debates, where Trump is looking to expose, if he can, those weaknesses that a lot of people are talking about in Biden. Is he all there mentally? Is he there all physically? And will Trump sort of get him to say something, make a big gaffe on the debate stage? You're less likely to get a big gaffe from Kamala Harris. And I think we're likely to see her playing to the constituencies where she plays well, women, suburban women, perhaps in particular, in that Democratic base that sees this now as an election full of historical significance with this nomination today.
And just finally and briefly on the Donald Trump side, he's ramped up his attack in terms of these mail-in ballots, which he's opposed to, and expanded the attack to the US Postal Service.
Yeah, so a couple of things have been happening while COVID has been raging. One is the Postmaster General of the United States is now a hand-picked Trump political friend. US media is full of stories about the mail service being deliberately slowed down. There are a few stories where at the US Study Center, we're tracking down the veracity of them, about actually equipment being taken out of US Postal Service facilities to slow down the processing of mail. And the question is this real? How consequential will it be? There are lawsuits about to fly everywhere around this, but it is part of this narrative that is building, every day we're talking about that, we're not talking about COVID-19, number one, but number two, are there actually real moves afoot from Trump and his campaign to try and shift the goalposts with this election? And, you know, one hopes that isn't the case, but something we're looking at very closely here at the Centre, Tom.
A huge worry, extraordinary a move it would be. Let's just go back to the Biden-Harris clashes, if you like, during the nomination process.
I do not believe you are a racist. And I agree with you when you commit yourself to the importance of finding common ground.
I did not oppose busing in America. What I opposed is busing ordered by the Department of Education. That's what I opposed.
Well, there was a failure of states to integrate public schools in America.
Because your city council made that decision. It was a local decision. So
that's where the federal government must step in. That's why we have the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act. That's why we need to pass the Equality Act. That's why we need to pass the ERA, because there are moments in history where states fail to preserve the civil rights of all people.
I have supported the ERA from the very beginning when I ran for the
So just a taste, we're very much nearly out of time, Simon Jackman, but when someone starts a sentence with, "I don't believe you're a racist," there's usually something coming next.
Absolutely. But the point is, I think, Tom, remember who saved Joe Biden. It was the African-American constituency in South Carolina. That's what turned Biden's tilt at the nomination around. He was barely with a political pulse. And I think the African-American community knows where Joe Biden lies at the end of the day on policy. And I think this pick today,
all right,
case closed.
Simon Jackman, really appreciate your time. Thank you.